Thank you, Madam Speaker, and it gives me no pleasure to rise this evening to speak to the motion in respect of the prima facie finding of a question of privilege in relation to the conduct of the Speaker of the House and to refer the matter immediately to the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs. The role of the Speaker is to be impartial and to demonstrate non-partisanship. And there are many reasons why a Speaker must be impartial and non-partisan. The Speaker carries enormous powers over this House and the members who serve in this House. It is the Speaker that has the authority to make rulings that directly impact the rights and privileges of the members of the House. It is the Speaker that has the sole power to make decisions as significant to honorable members as expelling a member from this House. It is the Speaker who is the chair of the Board of Internal Economy that oversees the very large budget of Parliament and decides how the resources of the House of Commons may be used by the members of this House. The Speaker is like a referee or a judge. He or she makes decisions, makes calls, and when the Speaker makes a ruling, there is no appeal. The ruling is final and must be respected by members, and I will be splitting my time with the member for Lanark, Frontenac, and Kingston. Madam Speaker, as the House of Commons Procedure and Practice, 3rd edition, explains at page 323, quote, "In order to protect the impartiality of the office, the Speaker abstains from all partisan political activities," closed quote. The Speaker, unfortunately, failed to abide by that standard that is expected of him as Speaker. He did so last weekend when he was quoted in the Globe and Mail praising the outgoing leader of the Ontario Liberal Party, the sitting Liberal MPP for Ottawa South, in which he made such partisan comments as referring to the Liberal Party of Ontario as our party. I would submit that that demonstrated a lack of judgment on the part of the Speaker. But the real reason we are here on this prima facie finding of a question of privilege is what the Speaker did after that. A video message of the Speaker was played at the ultra-partisan venue, being the Ontario Liberal Leadership Convention, in which he paid tribute to Mr. Fraser. He said such partisan things as, quote, "We had a lot of fun together through the Ottawa South Liberal Association, through Liberal Party politics, by helping Dalton McGuinty get elected," closed quote. Even worse is that the Speaker's video message was introduced to party delegates as a message from the Speaker of the House of Commons, as if he was speaking for this House. He shot the video on the parliamentary precinct in the Speaker's office and wore the Speaker's robes. This is more than a lack of judgment on the part of the Speaker. It is a fundamental breach of trust to this House and to all honorable members in this House. The Speaker has said that this is an issue of perception. Well, Madam Speaker, I can't think of anything more important than perception on the part of the Speaker, who must not only be seen, not only be impartial, but must be seen to be impartial. And on that basis, the Speaker completely failed in his obligations to members of this House. Now, I have to say, this is the same Speaker who, when he was running for the office of Speaker only weeks ago, spoke at great length about decorum and respect, and that words matter. He even, in an unprecedented fashion, made a pronouncement for this House in an unprecedented fashion before a question period, for all intents and purposes, lecturing members about decorum and respect in this place. And only weeks later, we see that the Speaker has shown a lack of respect to the honorable members in this place, and a lack of respect to the high office in which he serves. Madam Speaker, the Speaker, in dismissing it as a matter of perception, has offered no meaningful apology. It doesn't even appear that he takes the matter seriously. One would think that he would demonstrate some level of being humble in the face of what is an unprecedented situation. Never before in the history of our Westminster parliamentary system has a Speaker conducted him or herself in quite this way. We really are in uncharted territory. But instead, the Speaker, at taxpayers' expense, went on a junket to Washington, D.C., hanging out with a whole lot of Washington, D.C. elites. He did so during a sitting week. So instead of attending to the responsibilities that he has to preside over this House, he decided to go on a junket. And not only that, Madam Speaker, he spoke at an event in which he recollected his days as president of the Young Liberals. Another partisan statement on the part of the Speaker, using, by the way, the Speaker's office budget, demonstrating once again a complete lack of judgment on the part of the Speaker and his failure to understand his responsibilities to not only be impartial, but to be seen as impartial. And so we now find ourselves in the untenable situation where the House leaders of His Majesty's loyal opposition and the third party have called on the Speaker to resign. Those House leaders represent 150 members, nearly half the members in this House. And so I say, in the face of that, and the need for the Speaker to retain the confidence and trust of the members of this House, all honorable members in all corners of this House, that he reflect very hard about whether he can continue in his role as Speaker of the House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I think that there's a legitimate argument to be made when you have the official opposition on the one hand trying to give the impression of the importance of the institution and the Speaker's role here in Ottawa, and then say the remedy is to go to Proc and allow them to come up with a remedy to the situation. As if the Conservatives want to pretend that they're being apolitical, that they have confidence in the Proc committee, yet their membership, the Conservative Party, is calling for the resignation. And to make matters even worse, at least one member is now on public record indicating that he believes the Speaker should resign. Does the member not see any problems with that?
Member for St. Albert Edmonton.
Madam Speaker, I would note that the government House Leader has expressed full confidence in the Speaker. The Deputy House Leader sits as a member of the Procedure and House Affairs Committee. The member for Kingston and the Islands, as a loyal deputy of the House Leader. Is he going to follow her direction? Is he going to be impartial? I would question that.
Okay, can I just remind members that we do not try to infer positions in other members? L'honorable député de
The honourable member for Rosemont-le-Petit-Patrie. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for his speech, but I would like him to remind us how the former Conservative Leader, who was previously Speaker of the House, broke a long tradition of impartiality. He made a monumental error and a lack of judgment. He said it was a mistake. We all know that. But the member for Regina Capel broke with tradition. When you become Speaker of the House, you no longer go back to partisan activities. And then he became leader of the Conservative Party. Does he not see a contradiction there in his speech?
Madam Speaker, I have to say I don't know exactly what tradition the honourable member for Rosemont-le-Petit-Patrie is referring to, because I can think of many examples of former speakers who have served many years and even decades in this House, playing partisan roles, including the Speaker who was born in my community, St. Albert, the Honourable Marcel Lambert, who was Speaker of the House in 1962 and continued in this House until 1984.
Somebody who knows history, definitely. Questions et commentaires.
Questions and comments?
Resuming debate. No. Resuming debate. The honourable member.
Actually, this is a question and comment.
Oh. Question and comment. The honourable member for Lanark Frontenac Kingston.
Well, thank you. It seems to me that what is being referred to, and I'm looking for my colleagues' input on this, both in the member from Elmwood, Trent, Scona, and just most recently, I've forgotten, I'm sorry, but my colleague. Thank you. Yes. Both of them are referring to a convention which does exist in the United Kingdom. In the UK, when you are elected Speaker, the expectation is you shed your partisan identity. You run again, if you choose to run again, as an independent. The other parties choose not to run candidates against you, and you fill out the rest of your career. This is the capstone of your career. You leave the House of Commons as Speaker. Upon your leaving the House of Commons, you go to the House of Lords in retirement and serve there on the crossbench. That's the expectation. It's been explored in a committee and built out this convention in a committee which is there parallel to the Procedure and House Affairs Committee. I think it's an interesting convention and one that may have many merits. I actually discussed the idea of adopting this in Canada with the previous Speaker when he was running for Speaker following the last election. But it doesn't exist right now because we haven't discussed it. And at least in my opinion, I just wonder if the member from St. Albert agrees with my assessment of things.
The honourable member for St. Albert Edmonton, about 40 seconds.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank my learned colleague for his question, and he is quite right in citing what has been a long-standing convention in the UK Parliament, but one that doesn't exist in Canada and has never existed. Whether it is something that should be adopted going forward, well, that is a matter for further study and consideration.